everybody comes to Laughlin, because then you have to have river rescue certification, and they don't get enough people certified, and so you, rather than hire more, train more people in it for this certification, which, by the way, in and of itself, it's questionable that we really need this many people certified. We also end up with a situation where you've got people collecting massive amounts of overtime, because they're collecting overtime not just on their base salary, but also on this additional certified pay. And that's why we've got $1 million firefighter crews. It's just insane. Also, if you on top of that,
are they hiring?
but see, it gets worse, because not only do we have the highest paid firefighters by far, I mean just egregious wages being paid, but other than volunteer fire stations, once again, anybody want to take a guess? What are the two slowest low activity fire stations in all of the Clark County Fire Department?
Laughlin and Airport.
Laughlin, both of them.
Oh, they have two there.
We have two stations. Surprise, surprise. And both they're the two slowest fire stations in the Clark County Fire Department. And we've also, so we've got a lot of people with a lot of reasons to oppose allowing us to have our own determination. But I think that the media is, and people, not just in Laughlin, but throughout Clark County, are beginning to see that the avarice and the greed of the firefighters union here in Clark County is doing them in. And by the way, I want to make a point here. All firefighters should not be tarred with their brush. We have seen over the last few years, as economic times have gotten more and more difficult, firefighters unions in North Las Vegas, the city of Las Vegas, in Henderson, in Mesquite, have all been reasonable in how they've conducted themselves in compensation negotiations. This is a problem unique to the Clark County Firefighters Union. And it's like, we won't give you a dime back, nothing. And every person in this room knows someone who's lost their job, lost their home, lost their apartment, lost their savings. And these people will not concede a dime. And that's wrong, and I'm tired of my town being abused for it. I'm tired of our town budget being bled dry by excessive services that we can't even get input into now. The only people on our town advisory board are all puppets of the Board of County Commissioners.
So if I'm following, that basically gives you a credential and a soapbox that can't be ignored as easily.
To quote one of my favorite presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, it gives me the power of the bully pulpit. And that is absolutely exactly what I'm looking for.
Right.
I don't have it.
Don Wilbright, moderator. You speak about the home rule, and maybe you can just clarify it, just so that some don't know it. A first-class city and a fourth-class city, they're typically called aldermen. A third-class city is called a councilman, and it's basically the way that the home rule is set up. And you had mentioned the home rule earlier, and I was hoping that maybe you could clarify on what you're...
I'd be happy to, because yesterday the Laughlin Economic Development Corporation had as its speaker at the American Legion Hall in Laughlin, as a matter of fact, the director of the Nevada League of Cities. Nevada is a little unique in how local government is structured here in this state. We don't have different grades of cities. All we have are just simply incorporated cities, or you don't. The only other thing in between is something known as town boards. And town boards can be created by a referendum and have a certain limited number of powers, but the county remains responsible for it. We would have probably been very happy in Laughlin to be able to have a town board. But back in the 1970s, state law was changed, and now town boards are illegal in the urban counties. Washoe and Clark County, no urban board. They can't have town boards. So now we have town advisory boards. What's the difference? Town advisory board has spit in the way of any control over their township. Absolutely nothing. All they can do are make recommendations. And I can tell you, some of my constituents would be happy even with that. They would be happy just to get the vote back for the people who make these impotent suggestions and advice. and they won't even give us that. So unfortunately, I'm going to look for one of a few options. One, either press the state legislature to make a change regarding town advisory boards, or press the Board of Commissioners to make a change in county ordinance to require that town advisory boards be elected. Or we're going to, once again, and we have an incorporation committee in our town that's working very hard, and our local legislator, in fact, is reintroducing the bill he introduced last term, which was AB 383, the Laughlin Corporation Act. Will be reintroduced again, and we'll attempt to get the state legislature not to provide for the creation of a city in Laughlin, but to simply give us the choice to vote on it. That's all we're asking. Because otherwise, for those of you who aren't aware, the deck is stacked against any community that wants to incorporate. It costs hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in endless bureaucratic studies. So what we're doing is we're getting an end run around that, and we're going to be able to put a vote directly to the people, if we can even get the bill passed.
Don Bright, moderator for Veterans of Politics. We have another panel member, Maria Dunnigan, joining us, and I'd like to turn the mic over to her. Thank you.
Hi. I have a question. I wasn't here for the first part, so let me just go on with my question. Hopefully it's not being repeated. Obviously, we were talking earlier about loss of jobs. We have issues with people that are working hard trying to find jobs. There's people that are working double as hard trying to keep the jobs that they have in order to stay with employment. There are people taking pay cuts, or we've got lots of different issues going on. My question to you is: an average politician makes around 110 or more a year. If you had the opportunity to save 2 jobs, would you take a pay cut?
I'll do one better than that. I will state publicly right now that I will not accept any compensation at all for serving as constable of the Township of Laughlin. Good enough? It's not, you should understand now, that sounds great, however, in all honesty, I should let you know, the rural constabularies are, for the most part, jobs that are not paid on salaries, but paid only by fees. We have, in the current Laughlin Constable's office, we have a well-running, small but well-running organization. There's a part-time salaried clerk paid for by the county, and there are 2 deputies who are compensated only by fees. Any service that I do as constable, I will return all fees paid to me. And I believe there is a token $50 a year salary. I'll also return that to the county. I'm not running to be paid to earn a living at this. And in fact, I expect that probably by the time I have websites and a lot of consumer services and things like that set up, and putting together some other volunteer and social service programs, it's probably going to cost me a few $1,000s a year to be a constable, but that's okay. But just to be clear on that, I will not accept any compensation at all to serve as constable.
Well, I'll tell you, unless anybody has any additional questions, we can take a nice little break in between here. Number one, I'd like to say that I really, really appreciate you coming all the way down from Laughlin, and you've been exceptional and impressive, and I would support you wholeheartedly over that guy next to you. So, Bright moderator, and I thank you very much.